beautiful day it is to be alive. What an amazing place to be, right all the way down here on this small little corner of the universe. It is a small world, isn't it? It is a small place to be, this planet. I'm hoping you're well. My name is Doster Andrew Lake. Most people these days call me Andrew. And we've got our quote of the day. What is the quote of the day? Acid quote tease. If you would like to support the podcast, please do buy me a coffee. There will be a link somewhere in the description. Your spare change will go a long way to help me, the creator, independent creator of the Andrew Lake podcast. I understand the importance of developing client relationships and working to gain a superior understanding of the agencies which make up the client base. And he says to me, well, good on you, son. I hope you get the job. The job search market is such a tricky industry, isn't it? It's such a weird thing. But what are we talking about? Is this too random? Do we have to keep a coherent story here? Do we have to keep a thing that is going on that is actually clear to you to understand of what is happening and how it actually works and what it is that's being said? Last night I had a dream about Cody, who is a YouTube creator, and he does political commentary or news commentary in a style that's like crazy, and he's really weird and over the top. It's sort of like comedian style, absurdist humor. And he was in his house and I came to visit him. And the way for me to get into the house was that I had to go into a hot air balloon. The hot air balloon had to go down and then fall over. And then I had to roll along a ledge and then over a fence and then into his garden. And then I would be in his house. And I was in his house and he had a cute little dog, which I loved. I was like, oh, that's so cute. You've got a nice doggy. That's so fun. And I was like, wow, this is an amazing house as well, because it was actually a pretty nice house. And he was like, yeah, it's been really difficult to save up so much. I literally had to not spend any money for years in order to get this. And I was wondering if Katie, who is his co-host on the podcast on his channel, was there as well. And she was sort of nearby. And then I was like, oh, how do I get out of this house? Because it was so weird to get in, right? Reverse hot air balloon. And then he was like, oh, you got to go down the hill. So I went out the back door and rolled down a hill. And then I was in this place in Berlin. And my old music teacher, Mike Makovsky, was there, and he lives in Berlin. And we were sort of standing around talking to Cody and just being like amazed at how his house was so weird and so different, and also how good it was, like how great that it was that he had his own house. And then somehow that group of people standing around talking turned into me being a facilitator on a meditation retreat, and the participants were talking, and you're not supposed to talk on of a Vipassana meditation retreat, right? You're supposed to be in silence the whole time. So they were like talking, and yet it wasn't that someone would talk and then I would come over to them and, you know, sort of make a hand gesture to remind them to be quiet, and then they would be quiet. It was that they were talking and then having a like full-on conversation, and there was multiple people doing this. And then when I tried to do the hand gesture, they would sort of look at me like, what are you doing? Why would you tell us to stop talking? So I'm like working out, oh, I'm going to have to get names and take them to the teacher and tell them, oh, you've got to be in noble silence. It was really abstract. It's a really abstract dream. And that was sort of just the start of it. I mean, it went on to be many other sort of adventures and many strange things. So, yeah, I love dreamscape experiencing. I love when I have really vivid dreams that are really weird, and it makes me, well, I mean, I guess it makes me think. It means a new kind of experiencing. It's a new kind of tending with, well, day-to-day life. And it is day-to-day stuff, but it is also pretty weird stuff. And I mean, I couldn't really explain to Cody, how is it that I'm doing this crazy, weird comedy style, or part sort of comedy absurdist style podcast myself, but he's wildly successful and he's got a house, and I'm broke, down and out and homeless, looking for a real job and not even being able to get a real job. And this is sort of the quote of the day where this comes from, because it's so weird, this language of, I understand the importance of developing client relationships and working to gain a superior understanding of agencies which make up the client base. It's language which is so unnatural and so over the top, and yet I understand why it exists. I understand why people talk like that, which is because when you're looking for a job, you have to beg, you have to put yourself forward, you have to say these things. And actually this quote comes from when my friend was looking for a job as a lawyer, and he was reading me some of his resume stuff. And I was like, yeah, it sounds good. It's fair enough. I don't really understand law. I was also sort of teasing him because of how weird it was. Like, it was so, like, this language is so out there. It's so normal and sort of logical that it becomes out there. Like, it goes full circle. Like, if you try to be completely normal, you become weird, sort of thing. And if you try to be, I guess the opposite must be true as well, right? If you try to be really weird, then it sort of becomes normal and people just understand it. I don't know if I've quite reached that stage yet. But anyway, my friend's telling me about this job application process, and I'm laughing so much that I go, mate, that's amazing. You should put that on a t-shirt. That could be the quote of the day. And he goes, mate, no one would ever want to buy that on a t-shirt. No one would ever want to put that forward. And it's funny because this reminds me, like, this whole job seeking thing. Like, I went around to more than 10 cafes looking for a job, and a number of those were positive moments. They were positive experiences. Like, I was able to have a talk with the manager or the person who was the staff member, and I was able to make them smile and give them a positive impression. So from that, I heard nothing back. And a lot of places said, oh, we're not hiring, or they said, like, oh, we've got a stack of resumes, a pile of resumes. It's like, well, how do you stand out in that? How do you get a foot in the door in that? Yeah, it's like online applications are the same, because you just send out your resume for your job application website, and it's like dozens and dozens at a time. And I've heard nothing back. Like, there's literally nothing, not even a single phone call, not even a single interview. So, yeah, I guess right now the job search market is like that. I guess it comes and goes. It's ups and downs all the time. But yeah, and I tell myself, if it's not meant to be, then it's not meant to be. Like, I honestly believe that. As cheesy as that sounds, as corny as that sounds, I honestly believe that. If there's no foot in the door, then you take what you can get. If you're a beggar like I am at this stage, if you're destitute, lost, homeless, living in your car, then you have to take what you can get. Whatever you take, you can get. And I also mention this all the time, which is that I'm volunteering in a cafe for free, right? So it's like, if I can't work for pay, then I'll work for free, because I do actually want to work. I do actually want to stay active. I want to be involved in a community. And I do love cafe food. So that's one thing. But then, the other thing that came up the other day is that, I won't say who, you'll probably be able to sense what kind of relation this person has to me. But out of the blue, I got hit with a judgment about how I'm not being the most upstanding person. And it was entirely out of the blue after years of not hearing from this person. And there was nothing else apart from this judgment. We were communicating via email. It was nothing but a judgment, nothing but a sort of talk about, you need to get yourself on track. You need to be a better person. And I can't tell the whole story because it's a little bit close to home. I don't want to sort of out someone I don't want to air the dirty laundry. But I basically replied by saying, look, you don't know my entire story. You don't know how stranded I am right now. And I explained a little bit about saying, look, I am homeless. I'm living in my car. I am having trouble finding a job. I am looking for a job. And I am destitute. I don't have more than $30 in my bank account, so I don't know where my next meal is coming from. And yet, of course, also along with that, I'm not all negative. I make sure to say that I'm not all negative, to not be all negative. So I do explain some of the positive things to this person. I tell them, I've got my creative projects. I've got the podcast, which is great. I love the podcast. I love being here with you. This is an amazing experience. This is one of the great highlights of my day, speaking with you now. And yet also I've got my health and my routine and my exercise, and I got my music. So it's not all bad, it's actually pretty good. I'm actually doing really well. I actually feel really good about myself each day. And his reply was then to say, I can help you with your resume. Send me your resume and I'll tell you what to do. And I was like, oh, okay. So I did. And his reply was a critique of my resume. It was like, you can use this kind of language. And basically, it was all the stuff that I know, right? It's the stuff that is where you go, instead of writing your resume with a real kind of honesty, which is sort of how I've written mine, with a little bit of, I've fluffed it up a bit. We all have to do that. But his advice was to say to go full normal language, like to use this kind of quote of, I understand the importance of developing client relationships and working to gain a superior understanding of the agencies which make up the client base. And it's like, mate, I don't need a career advisor or a job seek facilitator. I don't need a job seeker, consult. I don't need someone who's consulting me. I need someone who understands my situation. I need someone who can be like, okay, you're in this situation, but I still see you as you. I still see you as a person. Because that's the fear about being homeless, right? That's the fear about being at rock bottom, is because you fear the judgment. You fear the person finding this out and then being like, oh, how can you live like that? How can you be like that? How can you be in that situation that's so irresponsible? And it is irresponsible in a sense. I feel that. I sense that. I'm doing what I can to get out of this situation. I know it's a matter of time, yeah? I've got my path. I've got my plan. I've got my proactive things. I'm very much proactive. So it is a matter of time. So yeah, the fear is, the isolation is that you can't reach out and tell someone about your situation because they might reply by being like, well, let me help you with your resume. Yeah. Instead of being like, damn, that must be really tough for you. I feel you and I'm happy to listen. I'm happy to care. And I still think you're a great guy. I still see that you're doing okay for yourself. And it's actually quite amazing to be like, I have to remain vague about the people that I talk because I don't want to implicate someone, but I want to sort of take what their situation is as a general life experience. So if what I want you to take from my situation is that even if you're broke down and out, you can still live within your sovereignty. You can still live within your center. You can still have explosive experiences of love throughout your day. And the opposite side of that, or sort of a contrast side of that, is that there are people who have an amazing house, an amazing place to live, and they don't feel good about themselves. They are weighed down by the traumas of life, the pain of life, the suffering of humanity, the hurt of humanity, the hurt of their general life, and the stings of their day-to-day life. I guess that's just the liberation of humanity, yeah? We all, in a sense, have that. But if you hear my side of the story, it's like, damn, can't you realize how much you have to be grateful for? Can't you realize how much there is that you can count as blessings, like a roof over your head, a place where you can cook your own meals, a place where you can work, and it is really tough being homeless, especially on the days where it's hot, on the days when it's a public holiday and the library's closed, there's no work at the cafe, there's nowhere I can do my work, and all I can really do is sit around and wait for the day to pass. It's very hard to get work done. It's absolutely just like being stranded. So if you have a house, that puts you in an upper class, yeah? That's already an upper class kind of lifestyle. And if you have a job and a regular income, well, that's at least middle class. Yeah, you're already middle class. And that life is something to be grateful for. And of course, I know the other side of this is that meaningless work is soul destroying. Meaningless work for a boss that is cunning is really hurtful, and you really do need to find a way out of that. You really do need to go beyond that. And that's where you find these beautiful things, yeah? If you find a musician that is living a life as a musician, that's a rare and beautiful thing. That should be supported. If you find an artist that is actually making their art at the sacrifice of having a normal job, of having a real job, that's a beautiful thing. That's a rare thing. That should be supported. That should be subsidized. Yeah, that's the thing that the governments should be putting money into. There should be more artist grants. And if someone is teaching Tai Chi and teaching energy awareness and facilitating active meditations and passive meditations and giving individual sessions at the cost of having a real job, at their own expense, and not making money from it, then that's a rare thing. You should take advantage of that. And I mean, I'm sort of shooting myself in the foot by being so honest here on this podcast. Probably by the time you hear this, my whole situation will be changed again as well. But I'm shooting myself in the foot, which is that to tell about my situation works against me because it comes with all the judgments. It comes with all the failings of not being successful. Because with success comes more success. So I don't, there's this voice in me that's saying is like, don't tell everyone about your predicament because that's going to just keep you in a cycle. Look, by the time you hear this, by the time you're listening to this, everything will be changed again. Like my life has changed so many times and so dramatic, like it's an entirely different life. Entirely different person, entirely different set of circumstances. So, I have no doubt that the love is coming. I have no doubt that the beauty will flower in its own season. I have no doubt that celebration will be opening again, and it's the most incredible thing. I can only wish that on you and everyone else and all around the world. So that's the quote of the day. I understand the client base. I hope I can find a job soon. I hope I can start up the business soon. It's already underway. And I hope you have a beautiful day. If you can help me out, please do buy me a coffee. Follow the link. Spare change goes a long way for me. That really does help. And of course, I send you the beauty, the love. I hope you can enjoy the rest of your time. Count your blessings. Feel the love. Be grateful for what you've got. Open your heart to the world. Feel the love. Feel the love. Feel the love. I hope you have a beautiful day. We'll see you next time. Tune in, leave a comment, subscribe, 5-star review, share your favorite episode with a friend, and we'll be back very soon with more. Feel the love, open your heart, stay cute. See ya. Bye-bye.